It is 5 o'clock somewhere, Real Estate Investor Podcast. Thanks for listening today. Today, we are going to discuss new construction rentals. It seems to be a hot topic here in Memphis. You can get the 1% on a brand new house, and it comes with a 1-year build warranty, so stick around.
Are you thinking about investing in real estate, building your net worth and your income, but you're just not sure where to start? I'm Joe Garner. I'm a mortgage officer and an investor. Let's explore your options on financing your investment property. Connect with me at jogarner.com. Call or text me, 901-482-0354. Proud to be a sponsor of It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere Real Estate Podcast.
All right, welcome back. In studio is Marissa Miller, and I hate saying his name. He's British. His name is Richard. He's a prick.
I'm just glad I'm not Alyssa today.
Alyssa, yeah. I'm sorry.
I always find it funny that you say I'm a prick, and there you are standing
You are a prick.
there.
You are a prick.
A prick.
British people are assholes.
The best prick.
Anybody that pays
Actually,
taxes to keep the royal family living in high-end castles and their fancy attire and all the hoopla.
Yeah, as much as I like you, Richard, I have to agree with Brett on that. I just don't really see
Could you imagine
the
if
point.
they charge us taxes so that... Well, I guess they do. They charge us taxes to take care of the president. So, but I mean, every 4 years we can kick that son of a bitch out.
But
of
at
office.
least some of our taxes really go towards, valuable things and not just, the royal family.
Some of them go to
living
shrimps
royal.
on treadmills and transgender studies in Zimbabwe.
Right.
I'll just make a point. I don't pay taxes in the UK.
Thank God.
Because unlike the United States...
I'd really have an issue with you paying your 79 cents a year. What is it, $2 a year we figured?
It's like $1 and some change.
Unlike the United States, the UK does not tax its citizens if it lives somewhere else in the world.
Oh, that's true.
Fair point.
United States is one of 3 countries that does that.
Well, if you don't like it, Richard, go home. How about that?
Oh, he would hate that.
Go back to your bland food and your shitty people.
We have great food.
And your pompous king and queen situation you got going over there.
On the bright side for, the Britons, I mean, what's $1 and some change a year? I mean,
it's nothing.
Just to keep the royal
spend more than that on
family
a cup of coffee.
Royalty.
So I get started. I just, when I turn on the news and I see all the drama with the family and Prince Harry and blah, 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 I'm like, who gives a shit? Really?
Well, nobody.
Who cares?
Nobody does.
Well, apparently somebody does because it's on the news every day. You got some specialists over in Britain. That's all they do is follow the royal family. That's like, y'all got to find something else better to do with
There's a name for people that follow the royal family.
Which is?
Americans.
Not this American. I could care less. So anyway, all right, let's get to
Not this American either.
Let's get to this topic of new construction. So we do a number of brand new construction homes here in the Memphis market. We have one particular builder that Marissa's working with, Mario, and we have different levels of these new construction. We've got some that are kind of a plain Jane. We got some that are in between, and we got Mario who actually steps his up a bit. So let's talk about Mario's. Let's take one of the properties that we just recently sold. Let's talk about that one.
So we sold one of our Burr properties at 3852 Burr. One thing about Mario, when he builds these homes, he does the granite countertops. And one thing that I really like with his primary bedrooms, the bathroom, he has a separate shower from the tub, whereas a lot of these new builds, they're combining them.
Tub shower combo.
Yeah, tub shower combo, which is fine. I mean, I'm not against that either. Probably will save like some cost on the front end, and you can have wiggle room on the back end to accommodate the buyer or your agent or whatever it is. But I do like that he takes into consideration, some people just want a shower and some people just want a bath. So he does separate those, and he has great finishes on them. So I mean,
I don't see a reason to have a bathtub in my house anymore.
My wife is a bath person. She loves taking baths. So
she likes one of those tubs that has the jacuzzi,
the jets, and all the
filter.
Yeah. Well, you can have a she shed at the end of the yard, can't you, with a bath in it?
I could.
Yeah,
I could, but it's going to be expensive. I just assume her use a tub in the house.
Right next to
Make
that
it
hot
easy.
tub of
and
yours.
I'll go in with a straw and blow bubbles in the water for her. Make her feel like she's in a jacuzzi.
Anything for your woman, right?
But I would say that if I ran the Tough Mudder 7 years ago or 4 years ago, the last time I ran it, And I ain't gonna lie, when I was done with that, that's the first thing I did is I filled up a tub full of, scalding hot water, and I got in and I laid in there for 2 hours and didn't move. My body hurts so bad. So there is a time for it, but it's not really common anymore. Most people take showers.
Yeah, they do.
I know British people only, they shower once every 7 days or something, I think.
Oh, you're being very
7 days?
generous. The ones I know, maybe once a month.
Jeez.
No, are you joking?
I am joking.
Oh, okay.
Thank God. I did have a teacher in high school from Britain. And on Monday, he always looked really good, like clean, hair combed. By Friday, he literally looks like he slept upside down in a tree. Smelled bad because he didn't take a shower once a week on Sundays. I never understood why, but
I don't get it
true
either.
story.
I used to get bullied at school, actually, because I smelt good.
Only British people would bully
now.
a kid for smelling good. All right, so let's get back to the houses.
So yeah, he does more of the, I don't want to say high end, but it's not low end. It's a nice, happy medium.
I mean, they're really nice homes.
Yeah, no, they are. Like, the finishes are great. I think they're priced very well for what you're getting, considering some of these builders obviously want to put in the cheapest thing to get the biggest profit, which I understand. We all want, something for nothing, basically. But I like that Mario really takes his time. And for him, honestly, he's used to dealing with owner-occupant homes.
Right.
So that's probably where his mindset is. But I think it's great for people to be able to have that affordability and also kind of have that happy medium luxury. I mean, it's not $1 million home, but it's not, the bottom of the barrel either.
They're really nice homes.
Yeah,
they really
are.
They're really
He does a
well
great
decorated,
job.
well put together.
Him and his workers. Like I said, I really like the idea of the separate shower from the bath. The finishes around, like, they look good. He does a good job. You can tell that he puts the money into, giving it that little bit of extra oomph to it. So I do like that. I think they're reasonably priced as well. So that's obviously a plus, especially being in the Memphis market. A lot of people don't know, but Memphis, it's not going to be one of your top 10 most luxury cities. So you got to accommodate the people for what they can afford and also build it to where you can make a profit as well. So everyone's happy.
Are they mostly building 3-2s, 4-2s? What's the configuration?
3-2s, 4-2s, I would say, are probably your standard for new builds. Well, for Mario, he builds a lot of 3-2s, probably 4-2s. We try to get a lot of MHA tenants in those, which for the most part works out very well.
We've said this many times before, but people need to realize inside the city limits of Memphis, 52% of the people that live inside the city work in distribution and rent. And most of them rent their entire lives. So there's a huge demand for rental properties, and the new construction, MHA and their tenants absolutely love them. They pay over market rent for those properties.
I looked up the official number. It's actually 43%.
43% now?
Rent, yeah.
Okay. So, well, that's good. That means some people moved off the MHA rent rolls and got a job and self-pay.
Yeah. And even with MHA rent, some people may not know, you hear MHA and you think, oh, the government's going to cover the full amount of rent, but it doesn't always work like that. Some of these MHA tenants, a
lot of them have jobs. Yeah.
Some of these MHA tenants, they work. So the government kind of calculates based off of that. MHA may cover $1,000 of their rent, and then the tenant has to pay the remainder, which may be $400 or $600, just depending on what it's renting for. So I do think that is a big help for the tenants on their side, because you're living in something that's a little better than what you can afford, but you're not paying the full amount. So that's obviously a big help. And like I said, that happy medium, finding that balance for the seller, the buyer, the tenants, to where everyone is happy.
Now, the house you were just talking about, was that sold with a tenant already placed?
So it just depends on how the contracts are, but specifically for these deals that I'm speaking on, we do have it in place to where the buyer wants tenants in place, which is doable. It's not like out of the norm, but you also have times where the buyer is like, hey, I just want to buy these homes, and then they place the tenant themselves, or they go through a property management company, obviously, and they get someone to place an MHA tenant. And honestly, they don't all have to be MHA. It can be a regular tenant as long as they can afford, the house, and they meet those requirements, which are typically 3 times the rent, obviously a certain amount of a credit score, So if you are a tenant and you're paying out of pocket, you will have other requirements you have to meet more so than someone that may be an MHA tenant because they're paying a little less out of pocket, or for those MHA tenants that don't have a job at all, MHA I think will cover up to $1,300. So even that is a great amount for someone that has no job or no income. So that helps the tenant a lot as well. But yeah, Mario, he does a great job, him and his team, obviously, because he's not doing it alone. But there are people like Terry Brown, I think is his last name, who he does new builds, and he does a little more conservative with his cost, a little more cost efficient, to where he's making his homes like tenant proof in a sense. Like I said, the concrete floors, versus Mario does I think LVP floors. Concrete, LVP, do you want to replace LVP every so often, or do you want to do concrete where you can just polish it back over and, make it look brand new and call it a day? It's less wear and tear for the maintenance people and for the owner of the home now. But LVP is obviously fine too. It's kind of what's in style right now. So.
And all those things equal cost along the way. So
yeah.
What did that house actually sell for, and what did the numbers look like?
So we did $165 was the sale price. We did a $5,000 credit to the seller. So in the books, it really would look as if
net sale $160.
Yeah, exactly.
But that gives the buyer, of course, he bought 7, so that gives him
Right.
$35,000 cash back from the seller to put toward his closing costs and prepays whenever he closes on the property.
Yep. So
Great way to get into a property with less money out of pocket.
Yeah, and
Yep.
it went to MHA.
Yes, they did go to MHA, but like I said, a lot of investors are open to regular tenants as well. They just really want to meet that quota. Every investor has a bottom line number that they don't want to go below. So as long as you're getting that, whether you're an MHA tenant or a regular tenant, I don't really think they mind as long as they're meeting that, mark, because we all know investors, they're never going to live in the home. They just want to meet that quota and make sure they have a tenant in there that's somewhat taking care of the property, not just trashing it or anything like that, because they obviously cost the owner on the back end when they get a new tenant.
So 160 of the sale, do we know what their rent yields?
So me and Brett, we have a 7-deal package going on right now. So far, 3 of those are already rented. 2 of them got rented for $1,500 and 1 of them for $1,600. So the $1,600 obviously meets that 1% rule that we always speak about, and then the other 2 are for $15,000. But again, as a buyer turning into an owner of that property, you kind of have to be considerate. Again, like I said, MHA, those that have a job, they're covering a certain portion. So you probably can't get the 18, 17, $1,600. You kind of have to work with them a little bit, especially in this Memphis market. So most of them hit that 1% most times.
What was the rent on that one again?
So we got 3 of them rented. One of them is for 16, which hits the 3%.
Okay.
And then the
let's
other
do
2
that.
are for 15.
12 months, $19,002 annual gross, $160,000 net purchase. That puts you right at 12%, right at the 1%.
Which is great.
But you're getting that with a brand new home from the ground up with the 1-year builder warranty and either a portion of or all of the rent guaranteed.
Exactly.
So that's hard. That's a hard deal to replace.
Yeah, and it is. And even though a few of those are like a tad bit under that 1%, it's still a great
Well, let's
deal.
talk about, you said one was 1505?
Yep.
Okay. So let's do that one too. Let's see where that lands.
So 2 of them got rented for $1,505. And I honestly still feel like you would come out good as an investor.
Well, that's $18,000 a year annual gross, and you divide that into 160. That's 11.3%. So you're just
it's not
shy of
bad
1%.
at all.
On a brand new home, though, I keep saying that. It's not like you're buying
Right.
a rehabbed home or a
Yep.
home you got to put money into. You're picking up almost 12% out of the gate on a brand new property.
So that's why I said, even though it's not right at the 1%, it's right under, which still isn't bad, because as an investor, their goal is to have cash flow, obviously. And you still can do that if you rent it at $1,500, even though you sold it at $160. It's just going to take a tad bit longer to see
Because
that full
MHA will
profit.
do typically an automatic increase every year.
Yep.
As long as you don't exceed I forgot what the number is, but as long as you're staying within the market range.
Yep.
So that if rent comps are $1,500 for a 3-2 in that neighborhood, you can go to $1,550, maybe $1,575 with MHA.
So I spoke with one of our property managers, Amisha, and she gave us a little insight that, in a year, those properties that did rent for $1,505, that the owner could boost it up some, and then they will be meeting that 1% mark. I forgot exactly what number she said, but it was definitely where they'll meet that 1% mark. So, you sacrifice a year of a little under the 1%, and then after that year, you're probably going to be above your 1%.
I think the greatest trade-off, though, is that you have a 1-year builder warranty. So your first year, your maintenance is pretty much zero unless a tenant breaks something, but that should be the tenant's responsibility to take care of it. MHA will be holding them responsible for that. So you could trade off that 0.8 of a point difference on your return for the fact that you're not going to spend any money on maintenance. And so you can build your oh shit fund really quick.
So I haven't worked with a lot of property management companies, but one thing that I do like about Amisha is that she took it upon herself to say, hey, I want to get my people out here to come look at these houses every 3 to 4 months. She's doing a one-man job, so obviously it's only so much she can do, but she tries her best to get her team or someone out there every 3 to 4 months just to kind of do a walkthrough of the property, make sure that it's in good condition, which I feel like helps the owner or investor on the back end when it comes to the upkeep, the maintenance, the repairs. That kind of gives them an idea of how the tenant is. Are they cleanly, etc. So I think that's great for her to take that initiative to get her people to come out, do their own inspections, and make sure that the tenant is staying up to a reasonable standard, so that on the back end, when the tenant moves, well, now the investor's not coming out of thousands of dollars unknowingly.
Yep, that's a plus. A lot of management companies don't do that. They claim to do their inspections, and they do the inspection, but they don't hold the tenant accountable for what's going on with the property. And if more management companies would do that, investors would have less money on rent turns, but they just don't. So it's good that Amisha does that. Actually,
what I just said is what I learned today from her. I thought that was an MHA thing, but that was just a her thing. So I want to say she said MHA, they only do it once every 6 months. So just once a year. And it's like once a year really isn't enough. You have 12 months in a year. It's so many things that can go wrong within a 12-month, 6-month period, versus every 3 to 4 months, we're kind of on top of you a little bit more. That would make a tenant want to have their shit together a little more, Like, do you want to get evicted and be kicked out of this MHA for you or your kids or whatever it is that's, going on at home? Or do you want to try to keep it up as best as possible to stay where you are for a good price, brand new build, like Brett was saying? I mean, I wouldn't want to give that up.
Yeah, that's come up in conversation multiple times over the last few weeks that we've been recording, that the MHA tenants, once they get it, they want to keep it.
They typically stick around longer.
Yeah.
Because
I would.
It's a real pain in the ass to go through MHA to move and transfer and redo your voucher. So a lot of times they get
right
parked
from the beginning,
and they just stay. Unless, of course, the house is falling apart or it's a bad neighborhood.
If I was an MHA tenant and I was getting a brand new build, whether I had 10 kids or 2 kids, I would definitely do my best to keep it up to par, because it's not often that you're coming across brand new builds, you know what I'm saying, that look nice, are modern looking, For
years, MHA tenants got the worst of the worst, basically. They basically had slumlords to rent from, and they were just crappy homes and disrepair and bad, horrible neighborhoods. So MHA loves the new construction. I mean, they really do. Anytime we get new construction, they're much easier to rent.
And like I said, I think that's a great happy place for the buyer, the seller, and the tenant. It's kind of like everyone wins. So
are Mario and Terry both building in the same zip codes, or are they in slightly different areas?
I think Mario just goes where he can find a good lot for a good deal. So I don't think he's too focused on like, let me only stay in the Frayser area, for example, because he has homes in 38114,
114, 118, 115.
Yeah, he's kind of just...
He's all over the place.
Yep. But like I said, he's coming from strictly doing owner-occupant, so he probably is a little more diverse and going to different areas.
Right. I know Terry is built primarily in Phil and Terry both in 38127, but now Terry's picking up lots in 114, 107, 116, 109.
Yeah.
So he's starting to spread around a little bit. And there's certain markets where those homes are going to sell for $240,000, $225,000. So those aren't rentals. Those are something that he's going to market to owner occupants when and if the rates change and the market picks back up on owner side.
I think that, again, I spoke with Amisha this morning. She's a property manager, and she does mostly MHA tenants. She does take regular tenants too, but mostly MHA. So she's been doing it for a while, and I spoke with her this morning, and she gave me a little insight. Frayser is a good area, but Whitehaven is also an area that's coming up, and, you know, a lot of these tenants before they're MHA, like they're kind of already in Frayser. Some of them want to go to a different area, try something new, and Whitehaven is kind of like the new wave, I guess, so to speak. So Frayser, Whitehaven, I know for sure those are areas that are picking up, great for MHA tenants. The ones that are already in Frayser moving to Whitehaven just want a little change of, you know, diversity, just try something different. It's like going from your Toyota to an Altima or something, you know, like just kind of change and see what else is out there.
When these builders originally came to us, they were all referred to us by someone. I think Terry came to me via EPM. Mario was referred to us by Amisha. Phil was referred to us by, I forgot who referred him. Kenny was referred to Jeff by someone. So these builders are coming to us because we have a reputation for volume, working in the investment world, working with investors around the world and across the country. So because of that, the way we lay our system out for our investors, it has attracted investors and it's attracting builders and rehabbers because we do a one-stop shop kind of thing. So the investor calls us and we're the last call they make. They don't have to call multiple agents. They don't have to call inspectors and contractors and MHA, and they don't have to do any of that. We do it for them.
So save some time. Here's Brett's number.
901-692-7401.
Call him now.
Call me now. Yeah. I got my phone on vibrate.
You just sound like Miss Cleo.
Miss Cleo. Call me now, and I'll tell you your future. The relationship with the builders that we have is extremely important because guess what? They're supplying the product that a lot of our investors want. And everybody's like, well, why are so many people so hot on the new construction? Cost of money. Think about it.
But not only that our investors want, what our tenants need. Like you said, what'd you say, 43%, Richard?
43% rent in Memphis, yeah.
43% renters in Memphis, which is almost half.
Yep.
You know, so it's not just what the investors want, but what the tenants need as well to fulfill the investors' need.
If you got a street full of rehab properties and 2 brand new constructions that are all available, the first one they're going to pick is a new construction.
Oh,
so
I would.
They are easier to rent. You do get higher rent. So if a 4.2 on Suncrest rehab is going to rent for probably $1,450 a month, an MHA on Suncrest, brand new, is going to rent for $1,650. I've seen them as high as $1,695. So
and it should rent
you get
for
more
a little
rents.
more
the house is brand new. You got a builder warranty. No maintenance for the first year. So it's a much better situation. And you're going to get the appreciation because, again, new construction is going to appreciate at a faster pace than a house built in 1945 or 1950.
In all honesty, for the listeners or new investors out there, I'm a realtor, but I'm working, like I said, this is my second year in real estate. So once I get my income flowing in consistently, my goal is to, which me and Brett talked about previously, is get my income in rolling consistently and buy a new build and buy it under my personal and then quick claim it to my LLC and start building my LLC from there. So I think the new build is a great avenue, a great way to.
And we've sold a lot of them.
Do the new build because you're gonna spend, if not the same amount more, doing renovations and all that other stuff that you have to put into a home. When you can just buy something that's already built, it's already up to code because the city obviously has to come out and make sure that it's up to code before you can sell it or do anything with it. So why not save yourself that hassle of putting the work into it and getting contractors and all this
Well,
other stuff.
there's some advantages of rehabbing. We talked about
it is.
last
It
episode,
depends on
or we
your
got an
goal.
episode coming out with Amish, and he bought turnkey and new construction first, and then he did a couple rehabs, and they were a little bit more bigger pain in the ass than he expected. But once they're finished, he came out really well on the cash flow and equity.
Yep.
But you've got to have the time, you got to have the patience, you got to have the money to do those projects.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so it just depends on
new
what your real
construction
estate
is the
goals
best
are.
turnkey you can buy. You get a loan, you buy it, you start collecting cash flow. Period. You don't have a whole lot to do with rehabbing and fixing and taking care of stuff. So
if you can afford a new build, I think it's for lack of better words, because I can't find a better word, an easier route or more not as time consuming as the renos. But those
less risky.
Yeah, it is risky, but those
less risky on a new construction.
Yeah, less risky on a new construction, yes. So I just really think it comes down to what your real estate goals are, how much money you have to, back yourself up. What your end goal is what it really comes down to.
When it comes to the relationship with our builders, we're working with our newest builder, Mario. It's a process. You got to bring them along. When we first met Mario, he was dead set on doing things this way, and that's it. So we said, well, fine. Then here's what we're going to do. You give us some homes. If we can sell them, then we'll talk further. Well, guess what? We sold 10 in 30 days for him. So we sold more than any other agent in town. And so now he's slowly becoming part of our group. He's leaning on us more and more.
And we'll have a second package of homes from him that'll be later on, obviously,
in
down
the fall
the road.
that we'll sell,
so,
yeah. So
I
what we're
think it's a
doing
great
with
start.
Mario is once he sees that we're the real deal, right? We didn't just BS him to get a listing. We sold him. He didn't give us a listing. Actually, believe it or not, we sold properties he had listed with a different agent, and he took them away from that agent and gave them to us. But now that we're at the point, I'm able to have that conversation and say, all right, Mario, I know you like putting granite in, right? But it's $1,500 you don't have to spend. It's a rental property. So why don't we save that money? And why don't you do this a little different? Make it more tenant-proof. Instead of owner-occupant style. And then if you're going to save that money, guess what you can do? You can put seller credits out there and say, look, $165, $4,000 seller credit. Then you can move these in volume to investors. And that's what Terry Brown does. Now, Terry just sent me 22 homes he's starting in the next 60 days.
I mean, you're absolutely right about the granite. I mean, as a Brit, I would settle for marble.
One marble or the whole bag of marbles?
The whole bag of marbles. Just
you lost yours, didn't you?
Hit them upside the head.
A long time ago.
But this isn't to say that Mario can't still build owner-occupant homes. He definitely can, but we just wanted to give him another avenue to make income elsewhere versus waiting on owners to come around.
What I noticed is the new builders that we've brought in this year, right, middle of 24, Kenny and those guys, they've been home builders for years, right? They've been building $300,000, $400,000 homes for people for years. So they build an excellent product, but I don't think they realized when they got into doing what they're doing that 42% of people are renting. Therefore, there's a huge rental market. Therefore, there's a huge need for rental properties. And if you can provide a new product to a tenant, you're going to come out way further ahead than buying some piece of crap in 30106, putting $30,000 into it and trying to get $1,000 a month for it in a bad neighborhood. So I believe that's why our new builds side of our business is really taken off. I mean, I sold probably 32 of them last year. This year we've already sold 10. Jeff sold 4, so that's 14. And I think Nick sold 1 or 2. So we've probably sold between 15 and 18 properties, brand new construction this year alone as a team.
Well, it sounds like you can sell them quicker than they can supply them.
Well, it all comes down to how you promote them, right?
That and I do feel like it comes down to what the tenants' needs are and their commute. People want to be close to their children's school, and so those I do feel like play a factor as well.
Big factor. Now we know we can get anywhere in Memphis.
Be in Frayser when their kid's school is in Whitehaven.
But we can get anywhere in Memphis in 20 minutes, right?
Yep, 20, 30 minutes,
but
definitely.
These folks want to live 2 minutes from their job. So let's take Raleigh as an example. When Nike and Amazon built their facilities right on the Frayser-Raleigh line down on New Allen Road, 8,000 people moved to Raleigh and Frayser to be right down the street from work. Even though where they lived before, it takes them 10 minutes to get to work, they still moved. And
I'd
and that's
rather
what
take the
spurred
longer commute and have a brand new build, and take an extra 10 minutes to get to my kid's school or my job.
But that's what spurred this huge development in Raleigh and Frayser in 38127, 38128. That's what got the ball rolling, and this is why Frayser is booming now, and that's why there's so many new constructions. I mean, just on Terry's list alone, between Terry, Phil, and I would say Kenny and Charles, they're going to have 30 houses going up in the next 90 days, starting to go up. And a majority, all of these, this 20, they're in Frayser. A handful of them are in 38114, a handful of them are in 38128, a couple of 38109s, but the majority of them are in 38127 because that's the best market that's got the biggest rise coming. Most of the other markets are kind of doing well and they're growing, but Frayser is poised to just take off because every time they drop a new construction home, that whole street gets bought up by investors, everything gets rehabbed, rented, and flipped, and values go up.
So, just side note, I have a question for you, Brett, because I know you worked in the Raleigh area when it was coming up. How much time do you think the Frayser area has before it reaches its cap?
It's a little slower than Raleigh took off in 2017. And then it was booming, and then we had COVID, and then COVID ended, and all of a sudden it went to the moon overnight. I know in 2021, we were writing 100 offers a week and getting one. It was so competitive. So many people were buying. But what Frayser's dealing with is a good push right now. But the good news is for people that want to get into Frayser is that we dealt with 3 years of economic issues, which slowed things down. Had that not happened, Frayser would be well above where it's at now. But I think that slowdown, which is now about to end, is gonna take Frayser and start kicking it up at a much faster pace. So anybody wanting to get into a market that's about to boom, now's the time to do it. If you wait till 2026, you're going to get in probably when you're about 70% to the point where it's not going to cap out, but it's going to slow way down on its annual growth. So if you want to get into it, 3127 is a place to put your money where you can get good 1% and you can gain some great equity in a property and ride the wave up.
Right. And do you have any idea of what zip code may be the next, booming? Let me hop on it right now, like how Raleigh, now we're dealing with Frayser. Do you know what zip, or not even do you know because no one really knows, but do you have an idea or a theory of what the next zip code is that's going to just take off?
Me and Toto are going to take the Yellow Brick Road and go see the wizard. And once he tells me, I'll report to everybody the next hot spot. I really don't know. I mean, I will tell you that Raleigh was identified by Glenn Green early on. I didn't really buy into it at first, and then I saw the Nike Amazon deal going down. I'm like, oh crap!
Yep.
So we started dumping investors in there as fast as we could,
and that helped Raleigh.
Every
a lot.
one of them, every investor I have that we put into Raleigh, they're in these homes for $70,000 and $80,000. They're all valued at $140,000, $150,000, and you're talking only 5 years later, and they're getting $1,400, $1,500 in rent for something they've got $80,000 into.
Yeah, that's great.
So if Frayser does take off, we're going to see that happen. I believe as we get into the second quarter of 2026, it's going to probably be too late to really capitalize on that. It'd be still a good time to invest, but you're not going to get that meteoric rise in value
how the people are getting
that
right
you're going to
now.
get if you buy them now and ride that wave into 2026. All right, well, we appreciate you listening. Remember, just go to our channel, subscribe. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to send us a message, go to our website at mymemphisinvestmentproperties.com and send us a message. We'd love to talk to you. Or give us a call at 901-692-7401. If you have any questions about new construction or what we got going on in Memphis, just pick up the phone and call us. You don't have to use us. We're not going to twist your arm and force you to use us as your investment agents, but we'd love to talk to you. I'm assuming once you're done talking to us, you probably won't hire anybody else, but we'll leave that up to you. Thanks for listening.
For more common sense real estate tips, listen and subscribe at 5o'clocksomewherepodcast.com. The 5 O'Clock Somewhere Real Estate Investor Podcast is a Sound Ideas Group production.